I'm Jack Dougherty from Trinity College in Hartford. I recently sat down with the staff of ConnecticutHistory.org and we brainstormed a new way to work together. They were looking for rich content on the African American experience in civil rights history in Connecticut for their web publication. At Trinity, I teach a seminar called Cities, Suburbs, and Schools, where my students do historical research on housing discrimination and school integration movements. Together, we came up with a new type of writing assignment. Students would compose entries for ConnecticutHistory.org. The staff provided guidelines, came to our class and talked about writing for this genre, and got involved in the peer editing process by writing comments online of our work in progress. Several drafts later, many of my students have had their work published at ConnecticutHistory.org, and that pleases me. It's a more authentic writing assignment than what they usually have. Here's how they explain the process.
I definitely, before this, took editing my writing as very overwhelming, and I just didn't, after I turned it to paper, I was like, oh, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. But then after I got these comments back, I was at first very overwhelmed, oh my gosh, I have so much edits to do. But going through the editing process, I actually really enjoyed polishing my work and actually being very happy with an essay that I had finished. And I think that helps me in the future because I can actually tackle a project and finish it all the way to the end instead of just dismissing it after I kind of have an okay job done.
I personally struggled with writing coming into college, and to know that now I'm a sophomore and writing is a never-ending process, and I've learned that, but to know along the way I've learned so much about the process. I'm very happy, and this project has allowed me to be comfortable with my writing skills that I've learned thus far, and also look to the future for future publications. I've always wanted to be a published writer, and I had my first start through Connecticut History, and I look forward to many more in the future.
I also think the experience was very validating, at least for me. I really struggled with writing, and that's what I was really working on in this class particularly. I mostly take science classes and do very objective lab reports that don't require you to have any prose or information in any set way of finding my own writing style. So I felt incredibly supported by everybody in the project, and also I've reached a point of growth with my writing where I feel a little more secure to send writing in to be published with through other venues and reach out in that aspect and then that part of the academics that I hadn't really explored before.
I really thought you felt more like a contributor and like a colleague rather than just a student handing in an assignment. We felt like we were working with people rather than for them to do a paper and handing it in. That was really nice, and you kind of felt really respected in a sense, not being oh, this is another article that I have to read, or another essay that a professor has to just grade and whatnot, just give you a grade back. It's you got really constructive feedback and whatnot, and really knew you were kind of making a difference in a sense.
I think frequently, as students, we spend huge amounts of time on our work to produce quality work that then doesn't get read by anybody. And I also think that very frequently when we turn in assignments, they're one or two revisions away from being amazing. But due to the fact that there's another assignment due next week, they never see the revisions that could really make them so really, really high quality work. So I think both the aspects of sharing and then the practice of having to continually work on writing are just two tremendous benefits. And I also saw all the pride that these guys had, which was a very cool thing to see and be a part of.
A student came up to me on campus actually, who had met in a prior class, and was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for your article. I cited it in my paper for class today. And it was just a really good feeling to think somebody's looked at it and read it who wasn't in this particular class with us, who was in a whole other class. So that was really exciting for me. I went to my room and celebrated with my roommates. So it's just a good feeling.
Yeah, it was definitely a good feeling to just share it with people I know that I've been published on a website. I really, that was definitely the best part. Having a finished product that I was proud of.
I saw Victoria the day that hers went up, and I said to her, I was like, oh, way to go, like, that's so cool. And the elation on her face, that was really I was like, oh, these are my students. I was just to be a part of that excitement and pride was just really very rewarding.